Well, hello there. Let's get squared away here. Make sure everything's happy. And we need to figure out. We need to open a console. Figure out how we want to approach this. I'm 99% sure, maybe even higher than that we need to fix this. My thought was that you could add different types of status effect with code, but it doesn't seem like there's enough difference between the types to really warrant this approach, when we could just make one generic type and then if it doesn't have a damage tick, then it just doesn't have a damage tick and it doesn't tick, right? It seems a lot easier. So let's get a terminal open here. And it won't actually be editor for start. I think I want to do the server work in a different branch. And this will be difficult to test outside of just using tests, but it is server side, so we have some tests right here. And I think our modifiable interface is still good. So let's do a quick branchy branch here. We'll call this like so. Not that. Okay. These guys are in the same package. Big manager. Let's get rid of that for now. We just need to take simple status and damage status and make status. We're going to reuse. Let's do this. We're going to rename the interface. We're going to ignore the strings. The rest of it, just do it. If it's broken, it's broken. It's fine. I don't care. And then... Oh, I guess I should have left... Oh no, this isn't type gen. That's fine. This is all still good. We just need to change what these things are. And we'll be able to collapse these down into a single set, because right now I believe we have a full set of tests for each type. And if we have only one type, we'll be able to simplify this test. Just collapse those for now so that we can have a better look at them. And then what we're going to do, because this is the more complicated one, right? Let's just double check my recollection here. They should be the same, except for this should have more fields. UUID, name, stacks other, stack of self, value, modifier, duration, blocks logout. So this is the only extra, so yes, that is correct. So let's bring this over into effects, which is actually status, the package status. I'm going to rename it. Yes. You're going to come in here, and instead of damage status, you're going to be effect. So it'll be a status dot effect. Then what else do we need to do here to make this usable? We would need effect map. You're just a list by ID. That's still fine. You get used here in manager, which makes sense. And you're only a type because we wanted to mutex you. Is that still the case? Not a type, but a struct, rather. Yes, because we're going to want to make sure we mutex this. And then we have the idea of an applied status list, which is an applied status, which wraps the interface with information on its status. Okay. That kind of makes sense still in this world. It just needs to be effect instead, right? These guys. A lot of these can come, can get exported and come out of behind the interface, right? They're only here because of the interface. Do tick needs to be a thing still. You have the idea of a damageable, which is just something that can have damage applied to it, so that's perfect still. So, let's kind of start chopping this up a little bit. Modifiable. Attribute or skill. I don't know why we have name in here just yet. I don't remember it just yet, I should say. If we're going to let things reach in here more, we need to guard this, right? So we do that. We do that. Or does that matter? I don't think this matters, actually. Because something external has a copy of this, it should be able to lock it. I don't see why not. Obviously, that would break this, but, like, don't do that. We'll think about that. We might revisit that idea. This... We still need to be able to calculate the status effect. because this is what we figure out if they stack, what they are, all that good stuff. Do all the math on the list. We still need to be able to apply them as well. So it really looks like just this needs to come out. And then let's tidy this up a little bit. And let's go to status. This is no longer damage status. This is just effect. Still a pointer though, because it is the instance of that thing. We also need damage status, which will just become new effect. And is just to help us build a thing. This is going to return effect. Effect. Like so. We're going to leave these guys over here real quick, though. Just in case we need to pull anything else over, but I think that's kind of it. This will become ID. Name can be exported. I shouldn't have done string there. It's fine. Whatever. Stacks with other gets exported. Stacks with self gets exported. Actually, we might not even need this constructor if we're going to do this. Yeah, we probably won't. Ignore the strings, just do the code. All this good stuff. I think we still want to keep this separate from config manager's idea of a status, though. They're going to be very similar, but certain things are going to be a little different, like this, for example. And a null UUID, this is to facilitate reading from file, right? And we need to, at this point, also be able to ignore empty values and stuff like that. So so all of those can get exported now. which really takes the need for a new effect out. If we could just build the object as we please, because everything's exported. Well, what Go feature should we get upset about today, right? Get you all wound up and get you nice and distracted? I'm joking, I don't have any new grievances since I don't work in Go during weekends on my free time, right? Where do we use you? If I got to do Go, I might as well be paid for it. I mean, you could really say that for any language, right? Go mentioned. How you doing today, Marco? And Ash, for that matter. How's Sunday treating both of you? How's all the things, the everything? Is that your trigger word too? So we use you in those and here. Figured effects. It's modifiable. I don't know if anything is using a name. I've done some factorial with my colleague, was fun, and now I'm aiming to do some writing, try and break that big 100. Gotcha. Gotcha. I think there's a couple more zeros, but you know, I get it. What is today's task for addition? Spent the day coding just to come back and keep coding. Life is good, right? I do enjoy the coding. I like to make the things. ID name value, which we only implement because of the interface. We'll leave it for now, but we might be able to take name out. Yep, 100, a whole 100 words. I know it sounds like a lofty goal, but I believe anyone can write 100 words in just a few weeks with the right motivations and tools. So why are you? Oh, because we took do tick out of you, right? Okay, that's fine. Where do we even start? Probably easier if I show you. I mean, yeah, it's possible. Let's just rip the band-aid off and kill the interface. You now wrap status, not status, sorry, effect. You are now a map of effects. Still by the ID though. New mod map. Like so. You take effects. Mod.id. Because, right. It was a function call. Now it's not. Okay. You, in this case, are we return a point. Oh, it was because interfacey things. We'll just do that. We don't want a pointer here. Heck, I can give my writing a 3-word summary. 2-word, even. We'll do it. Do it now. Decentralized protocol, which will run on the new Polkadot VM written in Deoxys for backend and front end, as well as all the other stuff that comes with it. Gotcha. I know some of these words. Space Gazelle. Oh yeah, that's right. You did that. We talked about that. Modifier. Get all these. Just need to be straight access property. No longer function calls. Deleting code. Good times. Okay. You are now just an effect. That. All that. All that. Perfect. And then this should be that, because it's anything in this list. And then let's close you for now. It's been in the works for 2 years now. It's all open source, but I'm hoping to launch it as a service. The protocol itself returns revenue automatically to token holders, pretty much all anonymous. Autonomous? Let's see here. This is going to break character a lot, which is fine. We go fix it up. We have some work to do in here anyway. You are now just that. You're that. You're that. The time it do be going, don't it? And then you guys, just duration, just effect, just duration, just effect. We do the tick. I wonder if this should be... Should Game Manager be sending out the sending out a signal to do the tick on server time? Probably. Probably is the answer to that, I think. For now, we'll leave it. That way everything kind of stays in sync. And then most of this would all be the same, except if we just take out this loop and this whole other routine that we don't need to run if we did that. So let's actually make that a task here in the backlog really quick. Server character wire up character to have the game manager drive Metalocalypse mode, and also a little spam bot. 1 second, we'll get Metalocalypse in a second. I need to report this little spam bot. Go. And then go ahead and ban you. Get out of here. And then we'll make sure I'm not too scraggly first, too. You know, I created this thinking it'd be funny like once or twice, but it seems to be popular. And I don't know if that's just because it's like people have points and don't know what to do with them and I should make more of them, or if it's just popular, if it's just fun. I guess I could get a little bit more. A little bit more brutal. Should save my points more. Soon you'll have to do a full stream like this. The reason I wear it up is because it gets in my face and it kind of drives me a little bit insane. And it's a short drive for me, I tell you. Love the hair, by the way. Thank you. I should run a poll or something for more things. More silly point redemptions. Halfway there, just wait. Are you saying that you're halfway there? Whoa, Mongoose shows his hair. Okay, so that we'll leave that in there for right meow. The manager is also going to be borked. Yes. Yes, indeed. Oop. And you exist because We pull you out. Yes, we make sure that you're a valid ID without having characters all store the full list and have to worry about synchronizing it and all that. What else am I? Because this effect is not... It's not a pointer. But it should be, kind of. If we're going to do that. But if we were to do a pointer here, there does be pointers in there. And this is just a list. It doesn't really make sense. Like, it can copy them in there and then do whatever. That's fine. What are we really guarding against here, though? Been watching van life videos all day today. Uh-oh. That's how it starts. So I have a question for you. Do you just have like a fancy van or like a real caravan with bed, kitchen, toilet, and stuff? The latter. It's a fifth wheel. So one of the bigger trailers. It's not that much smaller than my last apartment. So like it's a small living space and a small bathroom and a small bedroom, but and when I was initially thinking about it, I did the math too. I was like, okay, well, vans cost this much and you make compromises, big ones, right? RVs cost almost as much and have less compromises, but different ones, but more comforts overall. And then because credit is stupid, the bank didn't want to give me a loan for an RV, but they would give me a loan for a truck. So I did that and then just bought the trailer. Okay, then I have a really dumb question. However, it is legit. The first thing that came to my mind when I heard it first, how does your toilet work? Like a toilet. The waste goes into a holding tank, and then you don't leave it open because you want to if there's liquid in there in the waste tank, it'll help to flush everything out when you dump them, so you don't leave them open. But then they just go into the sewer at the campground. And it's the same with the shower and the kitchen sink. They both have their own tanks. The shower and bathroom sink have a gray tank, and then there's a gray tank for a galley tank for the kitchen sink as well. And the same thing where you let them fill up so that soap scum and little bits of food, whatever goes down the drain, gets flushed out and doesn't like settle on the bottom. So this modifiable. So we look up the valid attributes, which the character manager also knows about, because it loads them from file, to make sure that this is all legit. most of this just needs to be cleaned up. And we check for ID and name. And if we don't find either, then we're good. We add it. That way, if you have a duplicate name of something, we don't overwrite it. That's still good. We'll leave that. And it can still copy things. That's perfectly okay with me. It's just this part that we basically need to run this, rewrite this all from scratch. We have configured effects. We load them up. But okay, but like, is there some pipe that you have to connect to your van and then there's a designated place where it goes? Yes. You just have to press a button. You have to pull a plungery type thing. It's a cable. Just like a T-handle on a cable. I thought it would just go in a box and then you have to empty the box every once in a while because that would not be a pleasant task. Yeah, no. It's a that is an option. They have what they call a composting toilet for. You see that more often in vans, right? But they have a box that you have to empty, and they separate liquids and solids, right? And you dispose of them differently. But yeah, it just there's a hose that connects to the outlet, and then you connect the other end to the sewer, and then pull the handle, wait for it to all empty out, and then you're good to go for another however long it takes you to fill your tanks, which is very dependent upon your usage and your tank size. Where did I put? There you are. Oh yeah, I was making this. I need to finish that. I need to getting behind on all the things. I got distracted. Squirrel. Have the game manager drive ticks for statuses. Status effects. Fine. Hello to yourself, Bad Tunes. Or to you as well, I guess I should say. The other thing I was going to go do is make sure I check the box. Here we go. Okay, so what I need to do. You want to ask me a question? Maybe I'll answer. So what we need to do here is instead of all of this stuff, we need to build an effect. And this modifiable we check the validity of the ID. Right, because this is the property to modify, because we get you're the config file version. So, that's why we check that. But we also get the attributes. Valid attributes. We don't check that. We check. We pull out. Okay, yeah. Okay. So this can mostly stay. And we check to make sure that it isn't somehow the same ID for an attribute and a skill. Okay. So that all needs to basically stay the way it is. Because we pull out the actual thing. There's that. The duration that we get from this is a string, okay? I'd like to build a game engine that is so simple that anyone can make games with it. How much time do you think it would take if I add basic features and make it open source? Like, estimating how long it takes to write software is one of the most cursed possible things you can do. It's very, very dependent on a lot of different things, right? How good are you at whatever language you want to write it in? Like, how much experience do you have in that language? How many problems similar to what you're trying to solve have you solved before, right? How many people are going to help you with it? It's really, really super subjective. Double the time you think it will. I mean, at least, right? If the game engine should be able to create Elden Ring, it'd probably take a while. I mean, yeah, there's that too, but like, it also sort of depends on what your idea of basic features are, right? Generally, the only time you can really have a good idea of how long something will take is if you've done it a bunch of times before already. And even that's fragile, right? If you encounter some unseen thing that ends up being difficult because it's just a little different than something you did before and you thought, that's probably no big deal, then it suddenly explodes. You're like, oh, this is gonna take me a month just to fix this thing. What is a mud game engine? It's a game engine that runs a mud game. Life is too short to make a new game engine? I mean, do whatever you want. Make projects that are interesting to you. Speaking of which, we do this because we need a fallback. We continue if there's an error parsing the duration. Okay, yeah, because we ignore the status effect. That's probably still the correct choice. Basically, I want to make a starter engine. It's not a complete engine, but rather a stripped down version of an engine like Linux for developers. Well, they've been working on Linux for a little while now, and they still work on it. So you know? Like, the other question that comes to my mind is like, what is your goal in making this thing, right? You say you want to open source it. Like, is it just a fun project? Is it just a hobby project? Or are you going to try to sell it? Or, you know, what, what's the reason sort of thing, you know? And that will kind of tell you, like, if it's a hobby project and you're doing it because it'll be fun and you want to learn, then does it really matter how long it takes? You know? Or is it a thing where you're like, okay, I have 6 months until I need to get paid in some way, shape, or form. And my thought is I'm going to try to sell support or something, right? In which case you're going to have some pretty stiff competition from things like Unreal, Game Maker. There's a bunch of other little ones, Open 3D, Unity, Godot, like a ton of stuff, right? And what would make your engine compelling over and above those, you know? You're an organized person, you like to calculate everything. Yeah. So, especially in software, you kind of just have to YOLO it and be comfortable with unknowns. Like, that's one of the things that nobody talks about that I think is really important. This actually doesn't need. I know this is a joke, but it raises a good point. How much time would you really need to create a new game engine? I feel like that's what we just talked about. Am I missing something? Like, I can tell you I've been working on this pretty regularly since October, and it is just for text games, right? And I'm still working on it, so. Solo developer with the feature set you see commonly today. If you want 3D with support for a single OS, I'd go something like 3-year minimum to get somewhere usable. There you go. There's a ballpark. Working at it every day, yeah. I don't know how long Sai has been going on his. Um, and I don't have a link to his thing handy. But he's been on that for a while, I think, like multiple years. And he's still, you know, finding things that he wants to fix that ended up not being what he wanted to execute, right? If anyone is wondering, I'm ready to give better part of life to this hobby project thing. I mean, yeah, I mean, Ash says 3 years, and he's written some game engine stuff before, so I would take that as a reasonable ballpark for somebody who's done it before. um, I don't think this check is super useful because you might want a tick that does something else, and I think unless unless I'm missing something, I think this is just not useful. When the Linux comparison came, I immediately thought of Wayland, created in 2008. Now it's 2025. Still no official release and still less stable than my mental health. But it's finally coming. So, but in 2035, we'll probably create a new Windows System Protocol. So yeah, right? Do you mean official release, rather stable release? Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, recently, they did some stuff on Arch, and my main gaming box was defaulting to Wayland. And I was once again reminded that Wayland is not ready. Simple things like my Discord is set up with a push to talk hotkey because like that's just what I do, right? Nobody needs to hear me eating chips or whatever while I'm playing a game. But it's still set up to Wayland is still set up to where things can only listen to keys if you have them selected. Completely breaks that, right? And that's just a basic function. That's not even obscure. You can use X11 Moon Gaming. I mean, if you can't, then I got some surprising words for you, and I must have just been, gaming on it for the past 4 years by sheer will. This won't be this anymore, nor will it be this. Wait, where did that... it got used down here. That's right. Okay. So when we're doing this, we create a new effect. After all of this, we say this modifiable is not nil. Right? This is the only time we nil it. I think so. And this is value to modify. Like so. If we get through this, then we say this duration. Ooh, or do we want to... We only want to do this if this is in here, which actually means... Well, no, because we just parsed it, so... We can put that in there. Clean that up a little bit. And actually, we could do... do the similar thing in here. Instead of setting this to nil, we should actually just ignore this status and continue. Otherwise, is this, and we can put you in here. I somehow thought gaming is just a Wayland thing because their graphical requirements are so high. Don't know what I'm talking about. I use Wayland on my workstation and did not really have issues. Just when I installed the Hyprland there, I have tons. I don't use Hyperland, so I have no insights for you there. But like, I've been running on X11 for years, and it's been fine. The only issues I've had with gaming, I mean, aside from like wine issues and stuff like that, which have been, you know, slowly and steadily getting better to where nowadays Proton just runs everything, right? But the only issues I've really had were back when I had an NVIDIA card, because I had one when I first swapped, and the drivers just sucked. They were always something going on with them. But since I have switched to AMD, it's been pretty much just, I just play. I've been neglecting YouTube land. I'm sorry. I got distracted. Computer graphics programming and the math needed is at the least prepared for 3 years minimum. Sure. Yeah. Makes sense. This is assuming you're using Vulkan or OpenGL or DirectX with full potential and bringing in libraries for low-level stuff. Math, sound, transformations, windowing, etc. I have like 7 of my friends helping me, and it's growing. Cool. And you got some amazing friends. I'm unable to get anyone helping me on my hobby projects, and I offered to teach them what they needed. Yes. So many people like the idea of doing a thing more than doing a thing, because doing things is hard. Everyone I tried to teach ran away 3 days later. Yeah. My usual experience when asking people is like, oh yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm in. Let me know when I can test something. Yeah. And by test, they usually mean I want to play a new game. Turn the question around a little. What kinds of things have you programmed before? Have you ever finished some project in a way that it's ready to be public? That's a very good question. I really like Hyperland, but not because of the tiling. I just love these boards and the slight distance between the window borders. It looks so good. That kind of is tiling though, right? But I have issues because of fractional scaling. Fractionally scaling solely made up 80% of all my Linux issues. Yeah, I don't have a lot that I can share, like experience wise, in that regard. I use Plasma, and then whatever Pop calls their old window manager. That's what I'm using here. I have thought about trying like i3 or i3 gaps before, but I've never sat down and spent the time because I don't really like tinkering with my setup. It's not my jam. I like it to work in a way that doesn't annoy me, so that I can use it to do things. Because like, there's a common trend you'll notice here is that I just like to build things. Like, I'm not interested in CS puzzles. I'm not interested in, optimizing 3 milliseconds out of something that doesn't impact the user at all. I want to make a cool thing with a good UX. That's really what my jam is. Parse duration, if error is not nil, we add you, otherwise we continue with an error message. If this tick time is less than 1 second, applies damage that has a tick time of less than 1 second. This is not a valid configuration for a damaging status effect. Ignoring the status effect, cool. Then this actually just needs to go away. Think. And there should be something here, right? We need to do this because we're going to be missing some things if we don't. The ID, for instance, needs to be the effects ID. I deleted way too much stuff. Whoops. Yes, okay. I also use Plasma. I could even steal the borders or at least reproduce them with these Kwin scripts, but it's not that important. I mean, yeah. Okay, so this... Did we check... We don't check your ID. So we need to do that, first and foremost. Gives me a list of status effects. So we need to check the ID. If this is not valid, we're going to do the same thing we have done thus far. I got braces somewhere that are wrong. I think it's that one. There we go. The end result of this is that we will have a valid object. So we don't need that. All. This is silly because you're already checking logs if you're reading that. So up here, we're doing warn, 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 so we'll do a warn. So we say, if this is not valid, then we'll say effect ID is not valid. There won't be a point in logging the ID object if it's not valid. Effect ID is not valid. Ignoring status effects. I guess we can just like log the whole thing, I guess. Otherwise, this will be the UUID, the name, stacks with other, stacks with self, value to modify, we build down there, modifier, is the effect modifier. Duration and tick time we parse and do things with. This we need to make sure isn't empty before we add it. And then we do this check up here too, sorry. And then tick time is this tick time. If everything goes through and all is happy. So duration and tick time both get out of here. Last tick is not a thing that exists in our mind at this point. Damage per tick is just going to come from that, and so is this. And then we can just add the effect directly. We don't need those great big huge constructors. I may regret that. But just because it makes it harder to know for sure that this is a correct object. But we'll see. We can always go back, right? We can always just create a quick constructor for one if we decide that it's easier to work with. I also don't like to tinker with my setup that much. I never would have spent hundreds of hours on configuring NeoVim just to get an editor with less features. These people are so weird, not gonna lie. I still can't let go. If you don't like to tinker, how did you end up spending hundreds of hours configuring NeoVim? Seems like deep, deep down inside, you might just be a tinkerer. I have issues. uh, I feel the stubbornness deep in my soul. And then we're done loading. We just log in info. Okay, perfect. So that character, I think, is fixed up. I don't think Game Manager uses anything in here, but let's just make sure. Yeah, we've done a pretty good job about keeping that into the character land. Or within the character land, I should say. We will need to fix tests, though. All of this is going to be borked, which is fine. Let's just go ahead. Well, no. We'll leave them until we know for sure we don't want them anymore. This is now in effect. And then this isn't a pointer anymore, right? Because we don't want apply status effect to take a pointer. We want it to, it can be a copy, that's fine. It's just we're applying that thing. The list of these things lives in the character manager and should not be modified. So we do. Yeah, we'll just. Just do this manually. Actually, we won't. Because we're going to have a bunch of different things. That's not what I want. We're going to want all of the simple statuses to be replaced with effect. Kaboom. We're going to replace all of the value to modify with the exported. And I should also include that, I think, just to make sure we don't get any extraneous strings in there. When all of you have been enslaved by your IDEs to work for the AI overlords, I'll be sitting in my off-grid farm somewhere in Finland and track my harvest in NeoVim. You'll all see. I thought you were in Germany, not Finland. Am I crazy? We need to do the other ones that I did partially. Manually. I can't do that. Because the... Well, that's in the construct. Maybe we can get away with it. We can come back here and just... Might have made my life harder, but we'll find out. X with self. Like so. And then also we need to do do we want to just replace damage status? We want to replace eye effect for sure. We're going to leave damage status alone because we're going to manually fix the ones that aren't duplicates now that we've merged these two structs into one. I don't think the elite will have a lot of interest in Finland. Nothing personal, just a guess. So I should be safe there. Oh, okay. So you're saying you're gonna, when the machines take over, you're moving to Finland. It looks pretty. There's a guy that I watch on YouTube whenever he posts in English that hikes around Finland. So, calculate status effect, nil modifier, all stacking, non-stacking lower, non-stacking higher, multiple non-stacking lower than stacking, bonuses, bonuses and malices, stacking and not. Apply status effect, nil modifier. Actually, I might have done a really good job about not double testing. Modifiers on target. Modifiers different target. Status effect stacking modifier. Remove status effect nil modifiable. Remove status effect. Okay, so I really just used the interface for testing, so I'm actually in really good shape here. Awesome. So I should just do damage status. And we'll do that just in case of a string being in there that's wonky. And replace you with effect. Now, oh, and that does make sense that we would need to do that. Now, the moment of truth. Let's see if it passes still. Or if I have forgotten things. Holy cow. It's green. Okay, let's do full set. Okay, character test, right. Character test has some stuff. Let's see, that's all character test. I believe I tested character having things actually applied to them. Test modifier. So yeah, we need to get rid of these guys. Well, let's just test finish though, just in case it finds anything else. We found that I forgot to start the database. That's fine. We'll fix that real quick. Easy enough to remedy. So instead of these, let's Let's do this. Let's be cheeky. This is status.effect ID. I need you to come down here, please. This is name. This is... should be in order. Stacks with other. Stacks with self. Modifiable. It's not the thing. Value to modify. Modifier. Oh dear. I have a thing. What is a thing? Oh my gosh, it's a raid. Thank you. So many of you. Welcome. Hello. I didn't know you were a streamer also, Xfred. You are making a text engine as well, right? Bad with names, but you sound familiar. Yes, yes. Excellent, excellent. How's that going? Let me try. Let me see if I can do this. Not a mud, though. I was rated by someone making a mud. Awesome. I think this is how you do this. I always forget. There you go. Xfred is clearly awesome. And if you like text games, Xfred is also making a text game of some kind. I haven't been over to see yet. Usually when I get off and if I have like admin-y work to do, I go find somebody that's on when I'm not, right? But I'll have to come by and try to catch you some other time. This is modifier. And then this is duration. And then this is stacks with blocks logout. There we go. No thank you. Awesome to keep the love train going. Been streaming my text adventure to try to build up a community and get input on it. Awesome. Absolutely. How's the mud going? Not too shabby. We did, I forget when you were last here. Were we still working on maps or were we on skills and attributes? Either way, we finished both of those the first pass. And then right now I'm cleaning up the status effects on the back end so that we can build a UI around them. So it's going. Still a bunch of little things to do before we can start thinking game thoughts, but it's progressing and I'm pretty happy with the way it's shaping up. This is no longer that. Oops, they're just properties now and they're public, so we can do that. Looks like a big code base, so many files. Yeah, I like to break things up pretty aggressively to keep them focused, right? So this guy, skill score. This needs a status, which is effect. This is indeed the ID. Name. This is stacks. Which one comes first? Stacks with other. Stacks with self. Value to modify. Modifier or... yeah, modifier. And this is... This used to be a simple status, so this would be duration. Maybe? We'll find out. And this is blocks logout. Okay. Now. What am I missing? I need to take this out. Perfect. These don't involve that. This does. Maybe I should do... Maybe this will be easier to do. Modifier ID. Modifier name. Stacks is other. Stacks is self. Value to modify. S-scale. Modifier. +1. Duration 0. None of those. So this was probably duration up here. Duration 0. Okay. Perfect. And also probably up here. Perfect. Is there any others thus far? No. Okay, perfect. Then, just get rid of that. I forgot to take out the method calls, replace them with properties. There we go. Sorry, I'm totally distracted again, YouTube. Let's see here. Do you have any advice for what you need on your resume or GitHub profile to land those 80 to 160K dev jobs, or is it just luck? If I knew how, I would have a new one right now. Like, just nobody's hiring, at least in the US, really. Like, everybody's unicorn hunting. Layoffs are still happening in the big names. And it's really just tough. And I don't know where in the world you are, so that has a bearing as well, right? I made a couple of engines before and released them. You should have some idea how long things take. Yeah, I do, but just asking another dev is fun. Yeah, I mean, if you've released a couple of engines before, then you would know better than me. The... Fill the fields. That. False, false. S scale. Also a +1. Duration 0. Very simple little objects. Why are we not happy? Because I have not typed the correct words. If I do, things will work better. That. Same deal here. ID. Not sure why I did a string there, but we'll just keep it going. False, false. Test scale. +1. 0. False. Perfect. Not that effect, please. Thank you. That. False, true. A skill. Just a +1. Duration now. Tick time is empty, so everything else is just a blocks logout. Like so. Here are the fields. Test, modifier ID. Name, false, false. This is for attribute testing. We do a +1 still. 0, none of these, just the false. Perfect. Effect. Fill the fields. That, false, false. Attribute to modify, +1. Delete the duration. Put you back. Box logout, false. All of that, perfect. Effect, fill the fields. ID, name, false, true. Attribute to modify, still a +1. 10-minute duration. Blocks logout, false. Fill the fields. You are false and true. Test skill. Standard +1. Duration 0. Blocks false. Test status 1. These are both true. Modify is attribute to modify. This is a -4. 10-second. Blocks logout false. Downside to making the change is it breaks all your tests, but you know. We just redefined. Okay, use the same variable. We just used, we just created a new one because we're testing various permutations of stacking and not stacking. So we gotta be careful here. Gotta be careful on all of them, but especially in this one, because if we do this wrong, they won't stack as we had expected them to. These are both false. "10 seconds. Does not block log out." Status effect. Fill the fields. Test effect ID. Test status 4. This is true and false. Attribute to modify. Modifier 5. 10 time dot second. Blocks log out false. Tidy that up. Looks like one more for here. This is true and false. Attribute to modify. -1 on this one. 10 second. All of that goes away. Okay, there we go. I think I got a couple more of these that are kind of big and gnarly, but we'll just power through, and then we won't have a couple for a little bit. Like one big gnarly one, and then a couple little small ones next. Mostly for blocking logout, it looks like. All right. One more big dog. Test effect ID, test fire 1. This is true in both cases. This is modifier target -4. 10 seconds. Like so. Apply you. Next one. This is true in both stacks of self and others. Modifier target. This one is a +1. 10 time dot second. Blocks logout false. Status effect. Test effect ID. Modifier 3. This is false in both of these, actually. Modifier target. This one is a -11. 10 time dot second. Blocks logout false. Test effect ID, test modifier 4. This is true and then false. Modifier target 5, and then 10 seconds. Blocks logout false. And then oops. Test effect ID. Fire 5. This is true and false. Modifier target Modifier of -1. 10 seconds. Blocks log out. Lurking Z.A. Shaw streams always finds me in strange places. Well, welcome to the strange place. I have seen his name, but I don't think I've ever actually seen his stream. These are both false. This is skill to modify +1, 0, duration, all of that. Must have rated X-Fret before. Yeah, probably. They did say that, oops, somebody had raided them, and they raided out as well. Just carrying a lovely batch of lurkers. I love lurkers. It's how I mostly consume Twitch as well, so I totally get it. I think this is the last one. I'd be very excited about that. False, false. First skill to modify. +1, 0. The rest of it. Oop. One too many. There we go. Zed is great. Highly recommend following. He's a very helpful and friendly guy. Fun to casually have on while working. Awesome. What is he making? Status effect. Fill the fields. Modifier ID. Modifier name. False, false. Second skill. +1. That duration should have stayed. There we go. And then we're actually just reusing this variable name. My new laptop would still have the activate Windows watermark if he hadn't helped me unlock it with a system command in the terminal. Awesome. An old school dungeon crawler mostly? That is rad. I'll have to check that out. I've seen him on the Twitch stream page. It tells you like, hey, your viewers also watch these people, and I've seen him come up there, but I've just never caught him online. In fact, let me just let me add him to my list of people I follow so that I can make sure to check him out next time. Streams 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Oh, nice. Okay. Creator of weird art game. Awesome. Sounds right up my alley. I'll have to make sure I swing by and check that out. Even if he's too tired to stream, he starts it up to say he isn't going to stream. That's awesome. Hey, thanks for the follow yourself. It's nice to... I try to update. I've done my socials before, if I can't stream for some reason. So it's always nice to let people know. Because so many people just disappear, right? I'm working on a mud engine. Do you remember MUDs? I'm too much of a noob. Well, it might have been before your time. So once upon a time, computers were bad and we had text games, right? What do we got? I'll have to fix that in a second. So computers were bad and we had text games like Zork. And then computers got better and we got graphics and things, right? But then we got the internet, but it was bad. And for a long time, text games on the internet were the peak of MMO gaming, right? Oh, you're making a text game. Awesome. Procedurally generated. Nice. So a MUD Usenet era, kind of. I came to them late to the party, right? I played them up until WoW came out, and that was like the new MMO, right? And I skipped EverQuest. Um, but they were the old original MMO. So it was all just text adventures, but online with your friends, and they were RP heavy in a lot of times, a lot of cases. Um, and there's still some around, but it's not a huge thing anymore, right? So it's like old MMO. Yeah, yeah. They were kind of like the predecessor of the MMO we think of today. And you spent a lot of time killing rats with boards that had rusty nails in them, or kicking them to death and stuff like that. Very interesting. This help for my own causes. Awesome. Not that I want to do multiplayer. I'm leaning more roguelike. Yeah. Also, kind of right in that same vein, right? But that's totally rad. What are you writing it in, language wise? Let's see here. Character manager test. That's right. Because these guys are actually in the same package. We just need to come in here. I forgot about that. And we do some testing around loading things and making sure they exist, I believe. Okay, create status effect. So we're testing for adding them. That's fine. New simple. No, gosh. Status dot effect. Fill the fields. I was around when the internet used to make funny noises. Yep. There's something nostalgic about low spec machines. I miss text games and retro games. They were so creative. Yeah. A lot of things just because they couldn't do other stuff, so they had to have creative solutions, right? This is true, and I need to expand this up just a little bit. And this was true. This is test attributes. It's a -1. 100 seconds. False. This is no longer a method call. As effect, fill the fields. This modifier ID. This is not a string, it's a variable. Modifier name, true, true. And test attributes, -1. 100 seconds. False on the block. And then we make a duplicate, which we should just be able to use the same object because they're not pointers. But we used to change the ID. So we can do that. This we assert to be an effect, but we don't. Because God is an interface. It's only used in one place. Okay, because we test them all that way. Loaded status is status effect gets status effect. Input status is just checking these for equality. I'll leave it in for now. But I suspect you still get the idea of that because that's still an interface. I suspect that a lot of this doesn't really need to be. Well, actually, we do string the durations, so maybe it's fine. And then we don't need to method call those. Now let's try this again. One failure, that's not bad. What have I done? This probably used to block logout, right? This one was false. This one was true. If that's the only thing I missed, I'll be quite pleased. Because that was a pretty chunky refactor. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so now let's run the full set to make sure I didn't miss anything in other places. All green. We'll do a quick race test as well. I'm going to let that run, use the restroom, and refill my water bottle. So I'll be right back. And I'll just run a quick ad break while I'm AFK anyway. And that'll push our next one out a little bit. So I'll be right back. There we go. Okay, sorry I had to take a shower. No worries. AFK time. Yeah, just a quick restroom break / water refill. And an ad break while I was AFK anyway to kind of push the next one out so we can hang out for longer. Keep those pre-rolls away. Okay, so green there. What was the result? All green for the race and for the full server test. Love it. Let's do a commit for all of that. Oh, actually, before we do that, we need to delete these guys. Let's make sure 64 uses of that, but all in here. 16. There's one over here. This should be a status effect. Which is just, okay, right, yeah, the other type of validation we used to do in there. Okay. And this should actually just be a status effect now. Which means we don't even need to do asserted. We'll put that back there just a second so that I can do that, refactor anyway, then nuke that, fix us right up. Make sure that didn't break anything. It did break this. This should all be this as well. Do it anyway. And then that. Because we don't make a distinction anymore. Okay, that will break a couple things, though. Why would that break things? Internal character fail. Let's rerun this. That breaks this. Empty tick time was not converted to 0 seconds correctly because roll this back just a second. Because it used to assert to the damage status. So we just need to say, if this isn't empty, then we do the tick time thing. Except for it's what is the time? I thought it was 0, but can't remember it now. Need to look that up. So I really can't remember. Is 0. Yeah, that should be time. Oh, because it's the duration. That's why it wasn't working. It should just be greater than 0, right? I think. And then we get rid of that. Let's run that. See how we get on. Yeah, okay. We gotta be careful with that though, because I think a duration of 0 indicates it runs forever. Tick time. It wasn't a duration, it was a tick time. Okay, yeah. So 0 tick time should be fine too. Things should handle that correctly. And then we do one more full set of tests. Shouldn't change anything, but yeah, now we can do a commit. No, I got sidetracked again. This wasn't used anywhere else, right? Only in damage status, so I should be able to delete both of these and then run my tests. Because they have been completely replaced with only the status effect. Perfect. Git commit. Replace the interface status effect interface and multiple different types of effect with one universal type. Push that up. And then it might be everything we need on the server side for this to go on. That's just a test. That's test modifiable. Those need to stay. Yeah, I think we're good on that. And we can start. Check my list of to-dos here. Actually, I need to put you... Scooch you up here. And then... that is done. I think we're just onto UI. So let's go ahead and merge this. Let's do a quick poll request. And we'll merge, and we'll merge, and we'll delete. Perfect. Okay. Now, pull main, clean up after ourselves. And then we'll create a new one. We need to add UI. Add status effect editor page. We'll do that. Okay. And launch this real quick just to make sure we have it cached in the Go build. Perfect. Now, let's go ahead, close these down, minimize that. This is editor's main, so that's fine. It's exactly where we want to be. Get this tidied up. This is shared. I want to be in shared. I want to be an editor. Skills and attributes. We need a directory for status effects. And what we'll do, we need a couple things here. We're going to need skills and abilities to be able to go into here, which we have. We don't have you in editor. We should put you in editor. Otherwise, we'll have to keep passing you down, and we don't really want to do that if we're going to have to use you in a bunch of places, which we are. So we'll do that. We'll create the thing. And we'll start laying it out. And then we'll worry about data after. So, message broker. Ooh, actually, that's a... I didn't think about that. We're going to use the message broker for this because it's in a different package. Yeah, that makes way more sense because we have the... We build the config stuff here. Build the managers. And once they're built, they're just going to run. So we already put the broker into the editor. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy to keep that pattern up. We only give you attribute managers. Why don't we just create you? Oh, because then we'd have to give a message broker. And then we would have to store you in here. No, It's not true. It's because the child page's code doesn't execute until we go there. And we need you to be created on startup. That's why it was. That's fine. You are a status effect editor, and you won't need anything else in theory, hopefully. Up here, we add another thing. We need to add a constant for you. And let's also, while we're here, do that just to keep things more Englishy wordsy. Do that. And we're going to want, similar to this, we're going to want an editor main to put things into. This, however, will be the custom widget we build, so that's all fine and dandy. I don't think anything else needs to go in here. We just need to make the editor widget and use it. I can words. And that will be in here. For that, I will need a little bit of boilerplate. I'm just going to copy over for the type gen. Like so. And we need this. And then we need to have a type for you. You can just be an editor. It's fine. Struct. You're going to be a frame at your root, but not a pointer. Then we do... What have I been calling you? Have you been called editors before? We'll keep manager. That's the other thing. You aren't the widget. That's what's going on. You're the widget. You're all in the same package. It's just we've kept things separate. We were calling you widget. In other things, we'll keep that pattern. W's. Ooh, can't use W though. Sure, status effect. SE. Frame init. Okay. And then the maker will look similar. Tree.plan. So first and foremost, we need you to have a styler on you. which will be just to grow, not string, set, so that you fill this the space. Don't think we need anything else for that. Let's look at our mock-up. As simple as it was. Okay, yeah. Let's do that real quick so we can run this. Kind of evaluate what we should do for a header for this, right? Map editor. Nothing says map editor on here. It's just kind of self-explanatory. These are labeled because they're separate in the same screen. So I think we're okay not to explicitly label. If you clicked on it, you should know you're there, theoretically. We could just put it there, though. If we don't like it, we can always take it out. So the first thing we do, add at P for the plan, and then this is sidebar. You are a frame. You think about if you want to break this up or not. If we don't break it up, it'll be easier to tie up the signals together, which I do like. And there's not really a whole lot going on in the data pane, data pane, right? It's just displaying the thing that we selected. So how do I want to architect this? Probably want let's just go with it, and we can break it up if we need to. So we have the sidebar and we need a styler for this. Because we're going to tell you to grow, but we're also going to say, ooh, no, we're not. It's going to break stuff. And we don't need to. We're going to set the min x parent width to 25. Let's just say to start with. And the max to 25. So a min and max will lock it to being 25% total. We'll grow on the y. Now, we also need to make you a column. So we put in a frame. If I can find the right buttons, there we go. And then put a styler on you. like so. And when we do that, we tell the X to grow, and then the Y we'll say is 20. Why not to start with? That's going to be too much probably, but we'll just start with that. So it fills the X and it grows on the Y to that. We do this guy. We'll say it's a 4DP border for the whole thing. The sidebar the right will be a 2DP so that it has only the right. This width dot bottom, oops, DP also 2, and then set text. Oh right, we need to new text. You go into header. We might need a styler for this too, but we'll just go with that until we know for sure. So now we have that header. We add effect list or effect section, let's say new frame in W or off of W. Styler. You just grow to fill the rest. Overflow Y. Overflow scroll only on the Y. And then we put a footer in W as well. Footer styler. And you grow on the X. And we'll do the same size as the header. Start with. This will be add button, new button, in footer. We need to center all on you. Center all on you. The effect section, we need to align content. It's not align, it's justify content. Styles.center. This also needs to be a column. Set type. Button action. It's been what we've been using. Set text. to add new, on click, new clicked, just log that for now or print that for now. Okay. And also you will need your dot width dot top dp to keep it in the same vein. Let's run that. I forgot to wire this up. That. And that goes to, what did it call you? Just status effect editor. Yes, perfect. New editor dot status effect editor. There we go. That should get me here, except what have I forgotten? I also forgot to do my to-do. You will be, we need to go gen first so that it knows about the new status effects type thing. Widget. There's the word. There we go. And now that it's generated, we can do status effects dot new widget. You go into editor main, and we shouldn't need to do anything extra styling to you just yet. Maybe never. Let's run that. There we go. It's a little bit chunky for what I want, but we're close. So these guys take you down to 20, you down to 20, you down to 15. We'll just kind of chop off a bit. That's better. And then that fires are clicked. We do want to styler dp. Let's do 16 maybe to get that a little bit of a boom. The button. Actually, let me check really quick before I completely do this. The docs. Is action button actually the best answer currently? Button types outlined. Yeah, we should be using outlined. I don't think we're doing that on other things, but we can fix that. In fact, let me make myself a note here. Ensure we are using button outlined instead of button action where it makes sense, i.e. we want no color but do want a border. Just to make sure at some point we revisit that. But this still needs to exist because we need to do s.border.radius.0 so that we get a nice square button to match the rest of our buttons. Like so. Okay, perfect. I do want you to also be... Oops. Get over here, please. Thank you. A little bigger. About 14. Actually, how about we go look at what we did over here and unify them to be... You didn't do it there. Okay. Let's leave you alone then. We will also look at the header, though. We didn't change... no, you wouldn't. You'd be the label. 15 is what we use there. So we'll use 15 there. Keep things kind of samey same. Do set the type, though. So we'll do the same there. Just trying to be consistent. Don't feel like that's the same. I wonder if it's because it's... Oh. Because we used the type and not the size. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, okay, that's better. Nice prominent header, and then we can actually get rid of that, and then we can get rid of that for now. Till such time as we decide we need it again. Okay, so. Now we need to add the other part. Just quick double check. It's more rectangular than my mind was thinking it would be, but we can just put a nice little form here. That's fine. Seems like a kind of a waste of space, but yeah, maybe it's fine. We'll also need to do something about the list items. I don't know if a button it will be sufficient or if we need to make our own. If we look at... This will probably drive off of the config file Not server, shared config manager. The config manager's version of a status. Should rename this though. That's fine. Rename. Status effects. So when ID is not useful in the button, name, description maybe. Maybe we can get away with just using the name. We'll find out. We'll try it. But let's get this set up. Over here, we had a data manager, which we won't have. Ooh, we might want a data manager though for effects because it's going to need to give other things. It's going to need to respond to other things about what effects exist. That's fine. We can do that in a minute here. So we'll probably do the same thing kind of that we did here where we go through that list of the things the data manager knows about. And we need that. How exactly did we do that? Getter list. Yeah, we added you or deleted you, depending on what we did there. Okay. This is just on change. So if we fire an on change anytime we make a change, right? And this is a item details, which we put over here, which just gets a data struct. If we want to do the same or a similar pattern here, I wonder. In this case, we built them separately because we wanted to reuse the widget for both of the types of thing because they were very, very similar. But a skill and an attribute are both very different from a status effect. We gave item details a message broker. We should have we'll put the widget over here. Same package though. We're just keeping UIE things over with one another. Because we're going to need a similar thing where we have a data manager that we set up because it's going to be a little different and it's going to need to respond to things on the message bus, right? Looking to get valid status effects. which skills we'll need to know how to use eventually too. So we might as well wire this up now. And it's also going to need to pull skills and attributes out of the message bus. So the I don't think it matters to for widget wise to pull that out. But I think we still want a selected, which will be, well, no. We're ultimately going to have the list of things in the, so yeah, so we don't need a, well, over here we did it because we needed send message broker. Sets you based on whether you're active or not. Update. I don't want to do this. Maybe I want to set up the data manager first. These we had to pull out because we wanted an interface. But here, we just want one thing. So we don't need to do that part. Which will make things a little bit easier. Tile widgets. Yeah, let's build the manager first. We'll get to read in data. We won't do writing yet, but we'll get to read in data and then kind of figure out if there's a better pattern than what we've done before, because we don't have the same requirements for this one. It can be simpler. But let's let's kind of mimic the same API though, just so that things stay relatively similar. This over here, okay, yeah, we had to do that because we wanted to update when we got one. This is going to have the same problem. So we're going to do that. And then let's go to our skills and attributes and look at our data manager. New text, perfect. We'll still want one of those because it will be a list. That's still going to be a thing that we need to get out of there. We're going to need the message broker for sure. We won't need a type. We will need a broker name and a broker topic. Or will we? We did that because we needed to have 2 in 1. Might be able to give it away without... Like, we'll still need to give it some. And in fact, we'll do... broker name. If I could type status, effect, manager, and topic. It'll be the same for now. That's fine. We do need this. Because that's going to help us to send, right? We'll need something like this. But we need a new manager for sure. The broker to use. How much do we use the logger in here? Yeah, we use it there. Okay. That's a pointer. We won't need that. We will need the config path eventually. That, fill the fields. That. And in fact, I'm just going to take this whole guy. Kick you off, return, new manager. I forgot to mention that I'd be returning a manager. Here we go. I've already got the address, so we're fine there. So this becomes, we subscribe to topic. No, broker name and then broker topic. This needs that. This is broker name. Then we need the same things we did here, actually. And this just had, yeah, available items. Because we'll add them. status effect, because we only need the one kind. We'll just need these guys. That. You are status effect. Oh, I put you on messages. I was like, I thought I had that. So you go there. That makes you guys happy. What else do we need? We will need these as well eventually. Very similar, but different enough because of types. As a fact, and I won't need to switch on that anymore. This is status effect. This one wants to be a pointer. That needs to go away. Get ID won't be a thing. That will be. And this is broker name, like so. Okay. The this, you are a pointer to a manager. We need basically the same thing here. So that we can trigger the update. We return widget to keep everything compatible API wise, or same API wise. Let's go ahead and generate. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now, the over here, this updater, we had to do it in the updater. We had to delete the children and then re-add them. And that's probably fine. We just built the list here. So we need to do more or less the same thing here if we're going to go with the same pattern. And we had to make sure the data manager is not nil. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine with me. So we can just do an updater here, theoretically. We nil check your data manager. You delete the children if there are any, or if not, it's fine. It's no up. And then you don't need to track our tile elements, tile widgets here, I don't think. Or do we? Let's do without for now. Data manager, available items, same as we did before. But instead of a item tile, we're just going to do a button. It goes into the effects section. We do set text to data manager available items at I dot name. Oops. And then we need an on click for you. And we'll just do that for a placeholder. We won't need a lot of that other stuff. This will just get us, hopefully, to where we can show a list, right? That's the first step. And we can worry about putting the data in the other half of the screen later. Or more than half, but the other side of the screen. So. Now we need to wire up the data manager bits and pieces. So you will take a pointer to status effect manager. We'll create you set data manager to status effect manager. You don't need to set label. You already exist. The manager, we do need to set up the loading. And we'll need to wire up a get effects. That's fine. We can do that in a minute here. Here we did it in the load. And I was reasonably happy with that. So let's do the same pattern as well. Here, before we run, this will need to return an error as well. this is the best case. Return the manager and nil. We need to do the same thing here so that if we are when we are, I should say, in a file path that's below, or we're in a folder that is a sibling of the server, we need to go up a dir, which this will allow us to do. And then we just need to do fig manager dot load status effects, and then this we use config path, yes. We overwrite it in this case, so we just do that same as we did over here. If the error is not nil, we return nil, and an error says error starting like so. And this is the broker name and the error. Otherwise, dot file path equals config path and dot available items equals effects. Okay, perfect. Now we just need up here, while we're creating managers, to create a status effect manager. New manager, broker, log, not a type, but here we need, let's actually define it down here. This is status effect fig file path, path join, server directory, server config directory, and then we need a file name for you. Should be just like effects.json, right? Status effects JSON. That. And then we join you and you with status effect. Oh, effect config name, that's what it did. There we go. Then we give you the path. Error is not nil. Fatal F, error creating status effect manager. Error. And then this becomes func pg 4 pages. You get PG and effects manager. I'm missing that. There we go. That's better. I think that allows me. I might need to go generate again. We did change a couple things in there. We'll do it just to be sure. Okay, and now we'll run it and make sure we get some data. Cold and bleeding. Okay. We need to fix our formatting, but that's fine. The next section, you're supposed to be justified to center, but it's not content, it's items, maybe? Item button here. Now that style, we will tell you to grow on the X and 0 the radius on the border so you're nice and square. Better. Um, let's give it just like a little bit of extra padding around that. But also horizontally, we'll say you have a margin of 10? Yeah, we'll see. See how we look. Okay, that worked. The padding didn't really go, though. Why not? Did I just not give it enough, perhaps, to really be notable? Hmm. It's not updating for some reason. Let's just give it a little more there. See what happens. See if we like it better. I feel like padding is just not working. Take you out. Leave margin. Yeah, I might have to just make my own button again. Take a look at the docs. Maybe I'm missing something silly. Build. Font size. Icon size. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Let's do a button. They're not terribly hard. We want to take some of the styling from item tile over here, though, to make sure that the UI stays consistently. We won't use a struct for this just because we're only going to use active. We're only going to use the name in this case. Or should we do? Would it be helpful to have the description? Take a look here real quick. Um, maybe. Not really a ton of room in something like that, though. Let's leave it out. So we won't have a struct. We'll have a text instead. And you're going to be based off of a frame. And I think we will want active because that's tied into our styling. Random button. We'll need an init for you. Frame init. We need a styler. That. We need the set abilities, and we're actually just going to get. Actually, going to do most of these. Easier to do this. Keep all the styling the same. We grow on the XDEL. Horizontal, we still have a margin. We still have some padding. Still have all those abilities. Perfect. Tree plan, and then add at. This is a frame, or Maybe it's just a text. Can we get away with just a text? Say if... Do we have to do it in the update over here? Or... We did. But we also did... name container... I guess it'd be... We'd only add this if text is not nil. Or not empty. And then... this... If we did that, we'd end up with nothing in here. Oh, actually, what we can do, we can always create you. But let's just call you text. Because the parent is the button. This, we would just do a styler. And we would say here that set state the inverse of active states dot visible, so that when it is active, invisible is false. Okay. No, sorry, this won't be... Crap. Because it's not driven off the state. It's driven off of the presence of the text. We would need instead to do the same thing they've done in button for the same way, which is... This menu is set text. Okay, so they only add this if it exists. Okay. We'll do the same. So how then did they handle the idea, the point that they do the updater in here. I see. Okay. We're going to do the same they have done with set non-selectable. Text wrap fill margin, that's all. Just we'll leave that, it's fine. We won't mess with who we will want to do that. That way we hook it up to the parent font size. And then same here. We won't need their if check though. We just do set text to ib.text. And because that's exported for free, we get the set text ability, or the call. when we do generate, which we'll do again here. Make sure that gets that. And then we don't need any of this other stuff. We really just want to drive the styling and the sizing correctly to be consistent with our other stuff. And then in here, not there. In status effects, in the widget specifically, when we're building this, this is not core new button. This is aren't you still in the same item button? Oh, did I put you? What's been changed here? Item button, package status effects. Oh, there it is. It's just being slow to index. Okay, there we go. Let's run that. Not getting the Steily. Why not getting the Steily? For that real quick. It's correct. Doing that right now. This we should be able to get rid of too. That won't fix our background stuff. Oh, you know what? This was to drive. I remember this now. This was to drive not this button state, but the selected is the state we wanted. That was to drive the parent active or not. I need to fix type gen now because I just took that out. It's because we wanted to restyle the buttons when we were Parent was inactive. I remember that now. Okay, now there we go. That's better. You don't get selected though. And that is down to this. It needs to set the that. I think I did that. Um, in the widget. Item button. Updater here. Set data structures that update set handled. That's new item button still. That's right. We had to do this here because this is the only place we have the list of the other things to toggle the state to false on, which is why we had the list of stuff and this should be pointers. So when we do this, in the widget, wait, hang on. Did I put that on the wrong thing? I did. You don't go on the manager. You go on the widget. Because here we do this and then we also say pen that. And up here, when we delete the children, we also do a list reset, I think is how we did it. Yeah. We can do the same thing there, I suppose. So when we click on this, we do item clicked, and then we do item buttons. I guess you can be J. You already have an I. Set state, false. States not selected. And then we set true on ourselves. Just like so. We need to call update on you as well. Why aren't you updating? Call update after we set you to false. Why would that be? Because I'm silly, to say the least. Put it in the wrong place. Called update. Or saw update already called over there. Didn't add it to the new one. There we go. Much better. Okay, now we just need to get the things wired up. But let's do a quick commit here. And actually, I'm going to run off and use the restroom really quick, too. So we're drinking all this water, because it's hot. And it has become time. So, I'll be right back. There we go. So, we need to do a commit. Almost forgot. But first I wanted to see what has changed in here. Contents are identical. That's what I thought. So why are you telling me that something has changed? Just do status. Oh, we've renamed you. Duh. We will off in the screen for status effects, create the status effect manager, hook it up to the config file. Like so. Now, we can do, I think we're done with skills and attributes for now. Item button. We create you so that we have our nice stylish styles. On click is already working correctly. I think we just item clicked, yes. Well, I think I'll call it here. It's time for my regularly scheduled sleep. Is it regularly scheduled though? Keep the good work. I mean, I'll give it a shot. You have yourself a great night. Oh, did you crack 100K? Did you make it? You let's do. I've done it nearly every night for about 40 years now. Okay, well, that's regular within a broad definition. It's as regular as it's possible to get. I feel that. Just shy of 100K tomorrow, likely. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I hope it was good progress, and you have yourself a wonderful evening. We'll catch you tomorrow, maybe. I expect a party when we hit 100K. The thing with the stuff. If we do a selected item, then what we can do in theory oh, this was in a maker. I don't know. I don't know if this will work, but we'll try it. So we do all this. It's in a sidebar. Our next deal is a tree add at, and you are display panel, I guess. It's fine. You're still a frame. Put a style on you. Like so. And then let's get rid of that real quick. It's in my way. You will need to grow or will you? Think you will. To fill up that whole area. Because there's nothing there right now. Just the parent. So we tell you to grow. And then that's it for that, I think. Then we do if the selected item is not nil, we have a item panel, which is a new frame, goes into W, and inside of here, we might need a struct for this. Or not a struct, but a widget for this. In the same way we did the other one, because this will need to be aware of attributes and skills. So it's going to have to get them from the message bus. Which I'm fine with. That still keeps things nicely separated, right? But let's write logic to fetch it in the similar way that we did with the skills and attributes, I think. Because we need to handle kind of the same sort of logic where if it's an invalid UUID, for example, we need to display text that indicates that and notify you when there's changes and all the other stuff. So yeah, I think we need to do a widget. And we're actually going to get a lot of inspiration from our skills and attributes widget. Item details. What do you think is better for coding, Mac OS or Windows? Whatever you're more comfortable in. Item details has a data struct and a message broker. Chooser items. But do I prefer Linux? I've been all Linux at home for 6 years now. Too old school for you? I mean, okay, use whatever you're comfortable with. Chooser items. Why did we save you? It's because we populate you based on what we get back, right? And we need to be able to remember now. We use you to set items. Whenever we set the data struct, set chooser values. Right, okay, anytime we are setting that up. So what we can start with, though, we just give you a message broker, which makes sense, right? And then first and foremost, let's do a new file. Item details. And we can borrow some of this. Maybe, maybe not. Still a frame. That's still true. Message broker. We can still export, that's fine. We'll do the same trick here, where we make a list of chooser items. Let's save changes is still valid. Delete. Don't know if we'll need delete. Status bar will keep, because that'll allow us to specifically target that for an update. Thoughts on vibe coding? Absolutely absurd idea. We init the frame. Styler will still need. Because we want you, don't want you to grow though. We don't want you to fill the whole thing. What makes you say that? Because LLMs don't understand anything. They just spit out the most median thing ever. And I don't care what they sold their vibe coding project for. I like to make things that work correctly. Because we have a parent frame for you already. I guess we would have to set the size for that. At the parent level, if we want to do that, which is probably actually maybe the right answer. We don't want to center this one. Let's just leave that for now. We'll just do, we'll set a border radius. Around it. And then we'll start building the frame. And then, similarly to this, if don't remember why I did do that. We do need a data struct. Status effect, because you are the list item. Do I want to do that? Yes. Yes, I think I do. If you're nil, we still return. There's nothing we can really do. We delete children because if there is some kind of reload that happens, we want to clear out the old stuff. We don't have a delete, so we don't need to worry about that. Am I copying code from a second monitor? No, I'm looking at code over here. This stuff that I wrote yesterday. Because these widgets are very similar. At this is can still be called form, that's fine. And this will also need a styler because this will need to grow within the parent. It's a style. That's fine. We already put the border up there. We don't care about that. We want padding, though. And we'll kind of follow the other one for now. And we can adjust if we don't like that. We also did a margin before. I don't think we need a margin on this one, though. Mongoose Studios reminds me of Mojang Studios. Have you ever heard that? I've heard the name. I don't necessarily know who they are. And then direction is column for this one, too. This is our form container in this case. Oh, yeah, we need to do grid, for sure. Not this. Why did I put that in there? Don't know why I did that. Studios for Minecraft, I'm sure. Gotcha. And then we just need to build all these form fields for all of the deals. And we want to make sure that we do similar stuff here where our labels are, that we keep everything lined up in the columns. Check. Full stack or only backend? Mostly backend. I do a little bit of UI stuff. I'm doing UI stuff right now, but mostly backend. So it is just shy of 4 o'clock here. I normally stream 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, starting on Friday and ending tomorrow. So if you like this kind of thing, then show up around this time, but 4 hours ago, wherever you are in the world, and I should be here doing more of it. And I'd love to see you again. Thank you to everybody who came and hung out. Thank you for my raids. That was awesome. And we're going to kind of keep that train rolling and pass the love. We're going to raid Sai, who is doing his own game engine in C, or C++. Let's get this fired off. And thank you again for everybody. Hopefully we'll see you again. If not, have a great week anyway.